Rhythmic Paradox, the ultimate musical mind game, a musical brain glitch. Hey, besties, ever listened to a song and felt like the rhythm was playing tricks on you? Like it's speeding up but also slowing down at the same time? That's the Rhythmic Paradox, and it's the ultimate brain glitch for music lovers. Today, we're diving into how rhythms can mess with your mind and why it's so satisfying. Grab your headphones and let's get into it. What is a rhythmic paradox? Alright, let's break this down. A rhythmic paradox is when a rhythm feels like it's speeding up and slowing down, but the actual tempo stays the same. It's like your brain is getting gaslit by a drum beat. Imagine a snare drum playing groups of 3 notes, then 4 notes, then 5 notes. Even though each note is the same speed, the groups make it feel faster or slower. It's all about how your brain organizes the beats. Mind blown, right? But why does this happen? It turns out your brain is obsessed with patterns. It constantly tries to organize the sounds you hear into a structure that makes sense. But when the rhythm plays with those expectations, your brain gets a little confused. And confusion, it can feel so cool when it's wrapped in a beat that just keeps going. And here's the kicker. This isn't just a trick in experimental music. This paradox is hiding in your favorite songs, and you don't even realize it. How it works, the science behind the madness. Here's the tea. Your brain loves patterns. When notes are grouped in smaller chunks, like 2 seconds or 3 seconds, it feels faster because there's more action. But when the groups get bigger, like 4 seconds or 5 seconds, it feels slower because your brain has to work harder to process them. It's like scrolling TikToks. Smaller videos feel faster, but longer ones make time drag. Same energy, besties. But let's dig a little deeper. The way you experience rhythm isn't just about beats per minute, BPM, it's about perceived speed. And this perception can be influenced by 1. Subdivisions, how small groups trick your brain. Say we have a steady beat going boom 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 boom. If we suddenly start subdividing that beat by playing 2 notes for every beat, duplets, or 3 triplets, or even 5 quintuplets, our perception of speed starts changing. Duplets, 2 seconds, feel steady, natural, easy to follow. Triplets, 3 seconds, a little swing, kinda bouncy. Quintuplets, 5 seconds, chaotic energy, feels unstable. Now, if you hear different instruments playing different subdivisions at the same time, say a drum playing triplets while a melody stays in duplets, your brain gets confused. Is it speeding up? Is it slowing down? It's both. 2 replay rhythms. When 2 tempos collide, polyrhythms are when multiple rhythms play against each other. Imagine 2 drummers. Drummer 1 plays 4 beats per measure. Drummer 2 plays 3 beats per measure. Since they aren't hitting at the same time on every beat, it feels like the 2 rhythms are phasing in and out of alignment. The result? A paradox where one part of your brain feels a steady beat, while another part feels something shifting in speed. This effect is especially strong when combined with changing note groupings. For example, if one instrument shifts from groups of 3 seconds to 4 seconds to 5 seconds, while another instrument stays constant, your brain enters a rhythm twilight zone. And guess what? Tons of popular music does this all the time without you realizing it. Examples where you've heard this before. Okay, let's break it down with some real-world examples. You might not have noticed these before, but once you hear them, you can't unhear them. Electronic dance music, EDM. Ever noticed that in some EDM tracks, right before the drop, it feels like the beat speeds up and slows down at the same time? That's because producers use rhythmic paradoxes to build tension. They might gradually increase the subdivision of hi-hats, like moving from 8th notes to 16th notes to triplets. Layer polyrhythms between the kick drum and synths. Your brain picks up on these shifts and creates the illusion that the song is moving at 2 different speeds. 2. Classical music, Stravinsky and Steve Reich. Classical composers have been obsessed with rhythmic paradoxes for centuries. Igor Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring is packed with shifting time signatures and layered rhythms that create speed illusions. And if you want the ultimate rhythmic paradox experience, check out Steve Reich's clapping music, where 2 performers clap the same rhythm but gradually phase out of sync. Your brain literally cannot figure out what's happening, and that's the magic. Hip hop and trap beats. A lot of modern hip hop producers use hi-hats and kick drum patterns that create rhythmic illusions. For example, hi-hats that alternate between triplets and straight 16th notes, ghost notes on snares that shift in grouping size. When done right, it creates a hypnotic flowing groove that feels like it's constantly morphing. Why it matters? The power of the paradox. So why should you care about this? Because it's everywhere. From pop songs to movie soundtracks, rhythmic paradoxes keep things interesting. They make music feel alive, like it's breathing and move. And for musicians, it's a cheat code to make your tracks sound next level. Beyond being a cool party trick for musicians, this paradox tells us a lot about how we experience time. Because at the end of the day, rhythm is just how we perceive time passing. And when a song messes with that perception, it feels magical. Think about it. A song can transport you, make you feel energized, slow down time during a sad moment, or make an adrenaline-fueled climax even more intense. It's not just about beats. It's about how we feel time itself. The tea leaf paradox. Why do leaves defy gravity? The tea leaves that broke science. Ever been sipping on a cup of tea and noticed something weird? After stirring it up, you'd think the tea leaves would be pushed to the edges of the cup, right? But no, those little rebels drift to the center. Breathe. Why does that happen? Are the laws of physics taking a coffee break? Welcome to the tea leaf paradox, one of the most unexpected mysteries hiding in plain sight. Let's spill the tea on this scientific enigma. What is the tea leaf paradox? Alright, let's get into it. When you stir a cup of tea, or coffee, hot chocolate, whatever your vibe is, common sense says the leaves should be flung outward due to centrifugal force, like when you're on a merry-go-round and feel like you're being pushed away from the center. But instead, the tea leaves gather right in the middle of the cup. What? This paradox puzzled scientists for ages. The way liquids move under rotation seems pretty straightforward, but the tea leaves refuse to play by the rules. Turns out, the answer is hiding in a surprising interaction between forces we experience every day, yet rarely notice how it works. The science behind it. Okay, besties, let's break this down before our tea gets cold. The tea leaf paradox is all about unexpected fluid dynamics. And yes, we're about to get nerdy. 1. The secret swirls of a stirring cup. When you stir tea, you create a vortex, meaning the liquid moves in a circular motion. In theory, the leaves should follow this flow and get flung outward. But there's a hidden effect at play. Friction between the liquid and the cup walls slows down the tea near the edges. This friction causes an imbalance in the flow. Fast-moving liquid in the middle, slower liquid near the edges, and that imbalance creates a secondary flow. Instead of moving outward, the tea starts flowing downward at the sides of the cup and inward along the bottom, forming a kind of inward spiral. The tea leaves caught in this current get pulled toward the center. Mystery solved. Note the role of gravity and buoyancy. Tea leaves don't just float, they sink slightly because they're denser than water, but they're not heavy enough to resist the small currents created by the swirling tea. As the downward flow at the edges pushes them to the bottom, the inward flow sweeps them right into the center, where they peacefully settle. So instead of being flung outward, like you'd expect in a spinning motion, they follow this sneaky secondary flow and end up in the middle. 3. Why this matters. Beyond just tea, this effect isn't just a cute tea time curiosity. It actually explains some pretty big stuff in the real world. Scientists use this same principle to study ocean currents, blood flow in arteries, and even planetary weather patterns. Yes, bestie, your cup of tea is basically a tiny version of the Earth's atmosphere. Examples. Where else do we see this? The tea leaf paradox isn't just about your afternoon Earl Grey. Once you know what to look for, you'll see this effect everywhere. Blood flow in your body. Your arteries and veins aren't just straight tubes. Blood has to move around bends and curves. Just like tea leaves in a cup, red blood cells tend to migrate toward the center of the blood vessel because of a similar inward flow effect. This is actually helpful because it reduces the risk of clogging up the walls of your arteries. Thanks, physics. 2. River erosion and meandering streams. Ever notice that rivers don't just carve straight paths? As water moves through bends, the same effect that pulls tea leaves inward causes sediments to collect in certain spots. This process shapes riverbanks and even helps create new land formations over time. Nature is literally playing with the same rules as your tea. Planetary storms and weather systems. Hurricanes and cyclones form giant swirling motions in the atmosphere, just like the vortex in your cup. The forces that cause clouds and air currents to behave the way they do have a lot in common with the tea leaf paradox. Even the way Jupiter's Great Red Spot, a massive storm that's been raging for centuries, works has connections to the same physics. So, yeah, your tea is literally a tiny weather system in a cup. Why it matters. The big picture. Okay, but why should we care about tea leaves, aside from making our drinks Instagram worthy? Because this paradox shows us how the universe works in the most unexpected ways. Even tiny everyday things, like stirring a drink, follow deep scientific principles that apply on much bigger scales. If scientists can use a simple cup of tea to understand how fluids move, that knowledge can be applied to engineering, medicine, and even space exploration. Plus, it's a reminder that things don't always work the way we assume they do. Reality is full of surprises, and sometimes the smallest observations can lead to the biggest discoveries. The hedonic treadmill paradox. Why happiness feels just out of reach. The happiness trap you can't escape. Hey, besties, have you ever noticed that no matter what amazing thing happens in your life, a dream job, a new relationship, hitting your biggest goal, you feel super happy for a while, but then somehow you just go back to feeling meh? Like, why can't we just stay happy forever? Well, welcome to the hedonic treadmill paradox, where your brain constantly resets your happiness levels no matter how much your life improves. It's the ultimate emotional plot twist, and we're diving deep into why it happens and what, if anything, you can do about it. What is the hedonic treadmill paradox? Alright, so here's the deal. The hedonic treadmill is the idea that no matter what happens, good or bad, your happiness level eventually returns to a set point. Imagine running on a treadmill. You can sprint or slow down, but no matter what, you're staying in the same place. That's your happiness. Think about it. You get an amazing promotion, and you feel like you're on top of the world for a few weeks. Then, you're just as stressed about work as before. Or you buy the latest iPhone, and it feels so exciting, until you realize you're already looking forward to the next new thing. Why can't we just stay satisfied? And here's where it gets even weirder. It also works in reverse. If something terrible happens, like a breakup or losing a job, you feel awful at first, but over time, you adjust and eventually go back to your usual mood. Your brain is literally programmed to keep you emotionally neutral no matter what life throws at you. How it works. Your brain's happiness reset button. 1. The science of adaptation. Our brains are wired for survival, not long-term happiness. Back in the caveman days, being too happy all the time would have been dangerous, because if you were always content, you wouldn't try to improve your situation or avoid threats. So evolution decided to keep us chasing happiness without ever fully catching it. Rude. Why good things stop feeling good. Think about the first time you experienced something amazing. Maybe your first time flying on a plane, your first big win, or even your first bite of your favorite food. It was magical, right? But the more you experience it, the less exciting it feels. That's because your brain gets used to it and moves on, making room for the next big thing to chase. 3. The lottery versus tragedy effect. Studies show that even extreme life events don't permanently change happiness levels. Lottery win. After the initial excitement, they go back to their usual mood. People who go through tragic accidents, they also tend to return to their previous happiness level after adjusting. Your brain is basically a built-in emotional reset button. Examples where you see the treadmill in action. 1. The I'll be happy when trap. I'll be happy when I get rich. But rich people still feel stressed and want more money. I'll be happy when I get in shape. But once you do, you just start focusing on new flaws. I'll be happy when I move to a new city. But after a while, life there feels normal too. 2. Celebrities and the endless chase for more. Ever wonder why so many insanely successful people still struggle with happiness? They have everything. Money, fame, achievements, yet they still feel unsatisfied. That's because their happiness treadmill just sped up. Instead of chasing a normal life, they're now chasing even bigger things. And yes, this is why some of them have 5 mansions and still aren't happy. 3. Social media, the happiness killer. Social media supercharges the hedonic treadmill. Every time you scroll, you see people achieving new milestones, going on vacations, or buying cool stuff. Instead of being happy with what you have, your brain instantly moves the goalpost. Now you need that vacation, that outfit, that lifestyle. It's a constant cycle of not enough. Why it matters. Can we escape the treadmill? So, if we're stuck on this happiness treadmill, does that mean we're doomed to never feel truly satisfied? Not necessarily, besties. Let's talk solutions. 1. Gratitude. Trick your brain into happiness. 1 hack. Gratitude. Studies show that focusing on what you already have makes you feel happier because it forces your brain to pause the treadmill instead of chasing the next thing. Try writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day. It's like a cheat code for contentment. 2. Experiences over stuff. Buying new things gives a quick happiness boost, but experiences like traveling, learning new skills, or spending time with people you love create longer lasting happiness. Your brain adapts slower to meaningful experiences, so they stick with you longer. 3. Mindfulness. Get off the treadmill completely. Mindfulness, aka being present in the moment, is one of the best ways to step off the treadmill. Instead of always looking for the next thing, mindfulness teaches you to appreciate right now. It's like hitting the pause button on your brain's constant chase. 4. Shift your goals from more to meaning. Instead of always chasing more money, success stuff, shift your focus to meaning. What actually fulfills you? Helping others, creative projects, personal growth. These things bring lasting satisfaction because they don't get old like material things do. The Mirror Paradox. Your reflections, ultimate mind game intro. A glitch in the matrix. Ever looked in the mirror and wondered, is my reflection really me? Or is it some parallel universe version of me, just vibing in glassland? That's the Mirror Paradox. And it's the ultimate existential crisis for anyone who's ever stared at their own face too long. Let's dive into this glitch in the matrix and maybe find some answers. Or more questions. Probably more questions. What is the Mirror Paradox? Okay, let's break this down. When you look in the mirror, you see a reflection of yourself. But is it really you, or just a reversed copy? And here's where it gets trippy. Your reflection isn't actually flipped the way you think. It's like your mirror is gaslighting you. Oh, you think you look like this? Think again, bestie. Mirrors are such trolls. The Mirror Paradox isn't just about reflections, it's about perception. Your brain sees something every single day, but the moment it changes, like in a photo or a flipped image, it suddenly feels wrong, and the more you think about it, the weirder it gets. So let's go deeper, because once you understand how reflections work, you might never look at yourself the same way again. Literally, how it works. The science of reflections. Here's the science tea. Mirrors don't actually flip your image. They just reflect light in a way that makes it look flipped. But your brain is like, nope, this is fine, and adjusts to make it feel normal. It's like when you take a selfie and your phone flips it, and suddenly your face looks weird. That's because you're used to seeing your mirror version, not your real one. Mind blown. Again, let's break this down. 1. Why your reflection is reversed. When you raise your right hand, your reflection raises its right hand too, but it looks like the left one. So, is it flipped? Actually no. Mirrors don't flip left to right, they flip front to back. Imagine placing a book against a mirror. The text looks backward because the light is bouncing directly back at you, but it hasn't actually swapped sides. Your brain just perceives it that way. It's like someone printing a transparent sticker and pressing it against a window. The letters look reversed, but it's the same sticker. 2. Why photos look wrong to you. Ever taken a selfie and thought, wait, that's not my face? That's because you're used to seeing yourself in the mirror, not in photos. Your brain has spent years memorizing your mirrored image, so when you see yourself from an external perspective, it looks off. It's the same reason why some people don't recognize their own voice in recordings. Your brain expects a different version of reality. 3. The 2 mirror trick. Seeing your real self. Want to see yourself as other people see you? Try this. Take 2 mirrors and angle them at 90 degrees. Look at the point where they meet. That's your real face. No flippings involved. It might look a little uncanny, because again, your brain is used to your reversed reflection, but that face, that's how the world sees you. Examples. Weird reflection tricks. Let's take this paradox even further with some mind-blowing mirror experiments. 1. The writing in a mirror effect. Try writing a word on a piece of paper and hold it up to a mirror. It looks backward, right? But if you hold it up to someone else, it looks normal to them. That's because the mirror isn't flipping it left to right, it's just reflecting the front of the paper back at you. But your brain expects left-right flipping, so it gets confused. The infinite U effect. Ever stood between two mirrors and seen an infinite hallway of reflections? That's because each mirror keeps reflecting the other, creating an endless loop of images. But here's the weird part. The reflections get darker the further back they go. That's because some light is lost with each bounce. It's like your past selves are fading away into nothingness. Spooky. 3. The mirror worldview paradox. If you lived in a world where everything was reversed, like a mirror universe, would it even feel reversed to you? Your entire perception would adjust to the new reality, so it would feel normal. But if you visited our world, we'd all look flipped to you. Think about it. Would we be the ones flipped, or would you be? Yeah, let that sink in. Why it matters. Reflections and reality. So why should you care about this? Because it's a reminder that perception isn't always reality. What you see in the mirror isn't exactly you. It's just one version of you, and that's kind of beautiful, right? It's like a metaphor for life. There's no one right way to see things. It's all about perspective. Think about all the times we judge ourselves based on our reflections. But that image, it's just a version of you. It's not the only truth. And beyond personal perception, this paradox has huge implications for science and technology. Mirrors are used in telescopes, lasers, and even quantum physics experiments that push the boundaries of how we understand reality. So, yeah, it's kind of a big deal. Plus, it's a great excuse to avoid mirrors when you're having a bad hair day. Sorry, mirror, but you're just a liar. Problem solved. The simulation paradox. Are we living in a glitch? Is this the real life or just a simulation? Besties, ever had that weird feeling like reality is just a little too predictable? Like maybe life is just a super high-tech video game and we're all NPCs in some cosmic coders project? That's the simulation paradox. The ultimate what-if scenario that questions everything we know about existence. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the possibility that reality might just be one giant illusion. What is the simulation paradox? Alright, let's get into it. The simulation paradox is the idea that everything around you, your friends, your memories, even your deepest thoughts, might not be real. Instead, they could be part of an advanced computer program designed to simulate a realistic world. Think about it. Video games today are insanely realistic. We've got AI that can learn, VR that feels real, and graphics that are basically lifelike. Now, imagine technology advancing for another 1,000 years. Who's to say that future humans or aliens couldn't create a simulation so real that the people inside it wouldn't even know they were simulated? And here's where it gets trippy. If it's possible to simulate reality, then what are the chances we're in the first reality and not just one of a billion simulated ones? Statistically speaking, we're probably in the Matrix. How it works, the science and philosophy behind it. Okay, besties, let's talk facts. There are actually scientific reasons to believe reality might not be as real as we think. Buckle up, because things are about to get weird. The limits of reality, pixels, atoms, and code. Everything in our universe follows rules, like gravity, physics, and time. But what if those rules aren't natural but programmed? Some scientists have noticed that the universe behaves in ways eerily similar to how a computer processes information, like how atoms, the building blocks of everything, aren't solid, but just energy packets held together by rules, like pixels on a screen. Even weirder, there's a speed limit to the universe, the speed of light. In video games, there's also a speed limit to how fast things can move based on processing power. Coincidence? Maybe. Or maybe we're just running on some next level alien software. 2. Quantum glitches. Proof we're in the Matrix? Ever heard of quantum mechanics? It's the science of tiny particles doing super weird things, like existing in two places at once, or changing behavior just because someone is watching them. Yes, really, scientists have run experiments where particles act differently depending on whether they're being observed. Translation: reality might not even exist unless we're looking at it. Sound familiar? That's exactly how video game graphics work. They only render when a player is in the area. If reality is just a simulation, it would totally make sense for it to work the same way. 3. Deja vu, Mandela effects, and weird glitches. Ever had deja vu, like you've lived the same moment before? Or noticed small things change, like the spelling of a brand name you swear used to be different? Some people think these are glitches in the simulation, like someone hit undo on a coding error, and a few of us still remember the old version of reality. It's like when a game gets an update, but a few bugs slip through. Maybe that's what's happening when we see weird coincidences, time loops, or even ghostly figures. Examples: signs we might be in a simulation. Let's break it down with some real world or simulated world examples. The code of the universe. Scientists have found actual mathematical equations hidden inside the laws of physics that look a lot like computer code. Like what? This means that at the most fundamental level, reality might actually be programmed. Artificial intelligence is learning too fast. AI is evolving insanely fast. We already have chatbots that can hold conversations, art generators that can mimic human creativity, and robots that can teach themselves new skills. If we're already making AI this realistic, imagine what a civilization 1,000 years ahead of us could do. 3. The Fermi Paradox. Where are the aliens? The universe is huge, so why haven't we found aliens? One possibility: maybe they don't exist because our simulation isn't programmed to have them. If we're in a game-like world, maybe the developers only put in one civilization to study us. Creepy, right? Why it matters? What if it's true? So why should you care about this? Because if reality is a simulation, it changes everything about how we see ourselves, our purpose, and even our future. If we're in a simulation, does that mean we have a creator? And if so, are they watching us? Do we have free will, or are we just following code? And if this simulation ends, what happens to us? But here's the good news: even if we are in a simulation, does it really change anything? Our emotions, relationships, and experiences all feel real. So does it matter if they're made of atoms or pixels? Maybe the purpose of the simulation isn't for us to figure out the truth, but just to live. Or maybe we'll wake up one day and realize we were just in a super long VR session. Either way, besties, let's make the most of it. Keep questioning reality. Alright, besties, that's the simulation paradox, your brain's new favorite existential crisis. If you loved this deep dive into possibly being an NPC, smash that like button and subscribe for more mind-bending paradoxes. And remember, whether reality is real or just a simulation, you're still the main character. Until next time, stay curious and keep vibing. Bye.